My beloved child, when I place a mission in your heart, I am not handing you a burden to drag along by yourself through the years. Rather, I am inviting you to step into the flow of my will, where I myself go before you, with you, and behind you. Do not look at your own weakness and hastily conclude that you do not have enough strength, for I have never chosen anyone based on outward perfection. I see what you do not see. I know the seed of life hidden in the places you think are completely dry. And I call your name not because you already have everything, but because I am the one who is all sufficient in all things. My word has spoken. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. So when you feel small, do not step back. Let that smallness become the empty space where my power can be revealed. You must understand that a mission does not always appear in a dazzling form that commands everyone's attention. There are missions hidden in the kitchen of a mother who silently prays for her children. There are missions placed at the desk of an upright worker where others choose to compromise. There are missions written in the hands of the artist, the builder, the planter, the healer, the listener, the one who quietly lifts others up without anyone knowing their name. Do not despise the place where I have put you just because it does not look like someone else's stage. I have spoken. Whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Because in my kingdom, value is not measured by the applause of the crowd, but by a heart of obedience before me. There is a story you need to remember. When I wanted to build the tabernacle in the wilderness, I did not only call Moses to receive the vision on the mountain, but I also called Bezalel and Oholiab, the craftsmen whom I filled with my spirit, with wisdom, with understanding, and with skill to make every sacred item. You see, even the work that seems to belong merely to hands, to lines, to wood, gold, fabric, and precious stones can become a sacred mission when it is done under my anointing. I do not only use the one who stands before the people, I also use the one who quietly creates the place for my presence to dwell. Therefore, do not ask, is the work I am doing great enough? Ask instead, am I doing this in faithfulness to you? When I place my spirit upon a work, that work is no longer ordinary. When you agree to follow the call, I will not leave you alone on the journey. At first, you may have to walk through a season of silence to learn to distinguish my voice from the noise of the world. But at the right time, I will send appointed people to build with you, to uplift you, and to confirm what I have sown in your heart. Not everyone who comes near you is a companion, and not everyone who leaves is a loss. There are people who only belong to a past season, but there are also those I place beside you, like Aaron beside Moses, like Jonathan beside David, like Barnabas beside Paul. They do not come to take over your calling, but to help you stand firm in what I have entrusted to you. Pray for discernment, because the right companion can lighten your heart, while the wrong attachment can blur my call. Do not worry too much about resources, because wherever there is my appointment, there is also my provision. I can open a door you do not have the strength to push, deliver a word of confirmation through the mouth of someone who knows nothing of your journey, or place a strange peace in your heart even when outward circumstances have not yet changed. But, my child, my provision is not just money, opportunities, or means. Often what you need most is the courage not to give up, the wisdom not to rush, the humility to learn, and the endurance to keep going when no one is watching. My word reminds you that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. So do not live as if everything depends on your own strength. What I initiate, I have the power to fulfill. However, I also want you to know that my signs are not given so that you become dependent on miracles, but so that you may be encouraged when walking through unfamiliar territory. Sometimes I confirm with a Bible verse that suddenly lights up in your heart. Sometimes with a door closing to protect you from what you cannot yet see. Sometimes through a coincidence so perfectly timed that your soul knows my hand is orchestrating it. But do not turn signs into a condition for obedience. Once your heart has clearly heard my voice, step out. Signs do not replace faith. A sign is merely a small lamp along the side of the road, while I myself am the light that guides you. For the righteous will live by faith, not by constantly demanding proof before daring to believe. From the day you embrace your mission, your life will no longer be a string of meaningless days. The trials you face will be placed in a new light. They are no longer just pain, but they become the place where I forge your heart. Closed doors are no longer final rejections, but can be fences protecting you from the wrong turns. Seasons of waiting are no longer forgottenness, but the time I use to deepen your roots before lifting you up. A mission does not make every path smooth, but it gives you a reason to keep walking. When you know you are living for something beyond yourself, you will not easily be defeated by criticism, intoxicated by praise, or swept away by comparison. Eventually, when you live true to what I have placed within you, your very presence will become a testimony, not because you try to prove you belong to me, but because my light will naturally shine through a surrendered life. Others will see in you a quiet yet powerful hope, a peace that does not come from circumstances, a faithfulness that cannot be bought by fleeting gains. They will understand that I still use people who were once weak, who once doubted, who once stumbled, but who allowed me to raise them up and send them out. You do not need to become a copy of anyone else. Be the person I created you to be. Walk in your assigned portion. Keep your heart pure. Be faithful in the small things, courageous before the great things. And remember that I never forget the words I have spoken over your life. What I have entrusted to you is not meant to crush you, but to expand you, not to isolate you, but so you may know my closeness, not to make you prideful, but so your life becomes living proof that I am the faithful one from the beginning to the very end. My beloved child, when true obedience takes root in your heart, your life will begin to move to a different rhythm. You will no longer just speak words born of memory, experience, or rational analysis, but your words will be filtered through the depths of a soul that has been touched by me. There will be times you open your mouth to pray, and you yourself will be amazed. For those words will not be what you had prepared. They will carry the breath of the Holy Spirit, holding light, fire, tenderness, and power. Do not fear that newness, because when you surrender, I open up a wellspring within you that was previously blocked by doubt, fear, and self-protection. My word says, whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them. And my child, that river does not flow to make you stand out, but to refresh the dry lands around you. There was a time you acted because you wanted to be recognized, wanted to be validated, wanted someone to tell you that you had done well. But as I bring you into the era of mature obedience, you will no longer be ruled by that. You will do what is right, not because someone is applauding, but because your heart cannot turn its back on my call. You will serve, not to build a name for yourself, but because love has become your deepest motive. You will pray for others not to prove your spirituality, but because your heart knows their pain is also seen by me. In that place, order begins to return to your life, not because you are gripping everything tightly with your own strength, but because you have placed yourself under my reign. Submission does not rob you of your freedom. On the contrary, it liberates you from the chaos of the ego, so you may step into the peace that the world cannot give. Remember this, my kingdom does not always come with a loud noise. The world often looks for signs in ostentation, in quick success, in the spotlight, in resounding acclaim. But I have often sown greatness into the smallest, most hidden, most humble places. I spoke of the mustard seed, that, though it is smaller than many other seeds, when it grows, it becomes a tree where the birds of the air come to find shelter. I also compared the kingdom of heaven to yeast hidden in dough, silently leavening the whole batch. You see, what I am doing in you might not be noticed by anyone yet, but that does not mean it is weak. The roots of a tree do not need an audience to grow. Yeast does not need a trumpet to transform the dough, and an obedient soul does not need the world's recognition to become strong before me. When my only begotten Son stepped into the world, he did not choose the echoing halls of a palace, but the poverty of a manger. It was not the powerful officials who first heard the good news, but the shepherds, keeping watch over their flocks at night in the open fields. When he called his disciples, he did not gather those with the highest status in the temple, but called fishermen who still had the smell of the sea on their hands, ordinary men who could leave their nets to follow the call. When he displayed his power, he did not only stand on a mountain before the crowds, but he also bent down to wash his disciples' feet. So you would understand that in my kingdom, greatness does not begin by sitting on a throne of pride, but with the towel of service. The word is written, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Because my way always runs contrary to the self-exaltation of the world. I know there are seasons when you want others to understand you, want them to see the sincerity of your heart, want them to recognize what I am doing in you. But oh, my child, not everything holy is immediately explained to outsiders. There are seeds that must be hidden under the soil before they are seen on the surface of the field. There are paths I only show you step by step, not to confuse you, but so you may learn to rely on me. If you are in a place of obscurity, do not call it being forgotten. It could be that in that very unseen place, I am pruning away mixed motives, healing old wounds, teaching your ears to recognize my voice in the silence. When Elijah stood before the mountain, I did not only reveal myself in the mighty wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in a gentle whisper, and you too will learn that my voice does not need to be loud to hold authority. I want you to remember Ananias in Damascus, a man not as prominent as the great apostles, yet his quiet obedience became the hinge for a massive turning point. When I told him to go find Saul, the man who had persecuted the church, he had reasons to be afraid, reasons to doubt, reasons to avoid it. But he obeyed, stepped into that house, laid his hands on a man many still feared, and called out, "Brother Saul." From that hidden act of obedience, Saul's eyes were opened, and he later became Paul, the one who brought the gospel to many nations. You see, a small act in the eyes of the world can pave the way for a harvest far beyond your comprehension. Do not despise today's obedience just because you cannot yet see all of tomorrow's results. Therefore, when you are misunderstood, do not rush into sorrow as if my plan has failed. When you are set apart, do not think you have been discarded. When someone fails to acknowledge what I have placed within you, do not let your heart grow bitter. True validation does not come first from the crowd, but from me. If I have spoken over you, that word has enough power to carry you through the season of solitude, through the gossip, through the days you must press on without anyone cheering you on. My word reminds you, do not despise the day of small beginnings, because what is small in my hands is never meaningless. A heartfelt prayer, a decision to forgive, a moment you choose integrity when no one knows. a step of obedience amidst tears. All of these are recorded before me. There will come a time when your life becomes a sign to others, not through showing off, but through the fruits of peace, purity, and endurance. They will see in you something reason struggles to explain. You have walked through pressure but were not crushed, walked through waiting but did not lose faith, walked through rejection but did not lose love. In that time, your very life will whisper to them that obedience is not a foolish loss, but the doorway into my wonders. You will awaken in them the memory of a calling once buried. Rekindle the belief that the heavens can still open, the earth can still yield fruit, and a new season can still begin right in the places that seem the most barren. So, my child, continue to obey in the small things. Continue to be faithful in the secret places. Continue to serve even when your name has not been called. Continue to pray even when you have not yet seen the clouds of rain. I am establishing in you a foundation deeper than you can imagine. Do not be impatient to see the top of the tree before the roots are strong enough. Do not demand the spotlight when I am teaching you to shine from within. The new era does not begin with you controlling every circumstance, but with you surrendering to me in every step. When you live this way, you will not only step into something new, you will become the vessel that carries the new. And through you, I will remind many hearts that my kingdom is still growing, silently yet powerfully, humbly yet undefeated, as small as a seed in its beginnings, but full of the power to cover an entire land in the season to come. My beloved child, do not let your eyes be drawn to the scales of the world and use them to weigh your spiritual journey. The world often calls a person successful when they are widely known, when their hands hold wealth, when their name is mentioned with admiration, when their status stands higher than others. But in my kingdom, greatness is not measured by outward echoes, but by the depth of inward obedience. I do not only look at what you do, I look at the motive that birthed it. I do not only hear the words you say, I hear the secret trembling of your soul when you choose what is right when no one is watching. My word has spoken. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So do not be sorrowful when your life does not seem dazzling in the eyes of others. If you are being faithful with the portion I have given you, you are by no means failing. There are victories in your life that no one applauds, yet heaven records them. When you remain silent instead of retaliating in anger, that is a victory. When you forgive even though your heart still aches, that is a victory. When you continue to pray even though you have not yet seen the answer, that is a victory. When you do what is upright in a place where others choose shortcuts, that is a victory. My child, those things are not small before me. A cup of cold water given in my name will not lose its reward. A silent prayer in the night does not vanish into the void. A teardrop falling in trust is kept by me. Do not think that only grand deeds are written in my book. There are things you silently endure, sacrifices you have never told anyone about, times you swallowed your tears to keep your heart from bitterness. I see it all, and I never mistake your faithfulness for insignificance. I know there are seasons you look around and wonder why others advance so quickly while you seem to be hidden away. But listen to me. A seed is not placed in the dark soil because it is hated, but because that dark place is the cradle of new life. If the seed simply lay on the surface of the earth to be seen by everyone, it would dry up under the sun, be snatched away by the birds of the air, or never root deeply enough. I hide you not to forget you, but to protect what I have sown within you. There are callings that, if exposed too early, would be derailed by praise, distorted by pressure, or eroded by impatience. Therefore, I leave you in the deep soil of preparation, where you learn humility, learn endurance, Learn to hear my voice more clearly than the voice of the crowd. My word reminds you, do not despise the day of small beginnings. For what begins silently in my hands can become a great tree, offering shade to many in the season to come. Remember Anna, the prophetess who lived many years in the temple, fasting, praying, and serving me in silence. She did not sit on a throne, did not command armies, did not build cities, was not called great by the world, yet her heart was faithful in the secret place. Many might have walked past her without understanding the value of that life, but I knew she was guarding a sacred flame in the temple. At the exact right time, when the child Jesus was brought into the holy place, those eyes that had waited so many years recognized the salvation that many in power failed to see. You see, a life of quiet faithfulness can be granted the privilege of seeing what the hasty miss entirely. I did not measure Anna by her fame, I measured her by her steadfastness before me. And so it is with you. Do not despise your season of waiting. For it could be that in that very waiting, your eyes are being refined to recognize the glory when it comes. Therefore, my child, keep your heart soft. Do not let bitterness take root and drain the spiritual life within you. Bitterness often begins as a wound that hasn't been brought before me. But if you nurse it for a long time, it will turn into a thorn that makes you view everything through a lens of pain. I do not deny your pain, but I do not want you to let pain rule the throne of your heart. Bring to me all the disappointment, all the feelings of being forgotten, all the unanswered questions. I have spoken. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. When you hand over your heavy burdens to me, I do not just lift the weight from your shoulders, I also heal the way you view yourself, others, and the future. Do not return to the old dark places just because the new light requires you to walk by faith. There are places from which I have rescued you, and you must not romanticize them just because you feel tired in the present. Egypt might have had familiar food, but it was still the land of slavery. The wilderness might be dry, but it was exactly there that I taught my people to eat manna from heaven, drink water from the rock, and know that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from my mouth. You no longer belong to the old chains, no longer belong to the old definitions, no longer belong to the lifestyle that erodes your soul. I called you out to bring you into freedom, and that freedom is not about doing whatever you want, but about becoming exactly who I created you to be. Stand firm just a little longer. My beloved child, do not pull the seed up just because you haven't seen the sprout. Do not give up in the middle of the night just because dawn hasn't touched your window. Do not conclude that I am silent just because I haven't answered in the way you desire. My word says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. The harvest has its season. The reward has its timing. The revelation has its appointed day. When that hour comes, you will understand that not a single tear was wasted. Not a single step of obedience was meaningless. And no dark season has the power to swallow up what I have spoken over your life. So, stand in the light that I am opening up for you. Let my presence become your breath, your food, your direction, and your refuge. True success is not being seen by the whole world, but being known and pleasing to me. The true reward is not just what I place in your hands, but the abundant life I overflow within your heart. As you continue to be faithful in the small things, forgive when you are hurt, pray when you are weary, and keep walking when no one understands. I am building within you a foundation no storm can destroy. My child, you are not being buried, you are being planted. You are not being abandoned, you are being prepared. You are not being pointlessly delayed, you are being kept for the exact right season. And when that season arrives, Your life will blossom, not so that you can boast, but so that everyone will see that I am the faithful one, the one who makes life rise up even from the darkest places. My beloved child, I did not call you to live a fated life, drifting along with the muddy currents of the majority. Nor did I call you merely to be just good enough, just faithful enough, just standing firm enough. I am calling you to step up higher, not so you can boast that you are better than others, but so you may understand that you carry a portion of responsibility I have placed upon you for the coming harvest. In these days when many values are turned upside down, when what is right is mocked and what is wrong is painted as wisdom, I need hearts that know how to keep themselves pure. I need people who do not just talk about the light, but who truly walk in the light. My word has spoken. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. For you cannot carry a sacred mission while allowing your soul to be molded by the chaotic voices of the world. Do not think that I only use people who are never weak. I know you have days of weariness, times your heart trembles, moments you wonder if you have enough strength to keep going. But what I am looking for is not a perfect exterior. What pleases me is a heart that refuses to let go of my hand. The one who stands firm in my kingdom is not the one who has never fallen, but the one who, after every moment of weakness, still returns to grace, still allows me to lift them up, still chooses faithfulness instead of giving up. My child, though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, and every time you stand back up in me, darkness loses more of its power over your life. Be careful not to underestimate the quiet impact of your life. There are words you speak in gentleness that can become the rope that pulls a soul out of the abyss of despair. There are small acts of mercy that can melt the ice in a heart that has been cold for too long. There are times you choose patience, choose to forgive, choose not to retaliate with bitterness. And even if others do not notice, heaven still records it as a seed sown in good soil. I do not demand that you do earth-shattering things in order to be seen by me. I have seen you from the secret place. I see when you pray in the night. I see when you quietly help others. I see when you refuse to step into what is wrong even when no one knows. A small lamp can still guide the lost in the dark of night, if it is willing to burn exactly where I have placed it. In this season of transition, you will see doors that were once firmly shut begin to open. There will be unexpected encounters, new invitations, opportunities that seemed far gone now returning in ways you could not have foreseen. But my child, stay alert. Not every open door bears my fingerprint. There are paths that are shiny merely to test whether your heart remains loyal to its original purpose. There are things that look very favorable at first glance, but if you step into them and lose your peace, lose your purity, lose the calling I placed in your heart, then that is not a gift. It is a trap covered in beauty. Therefore, before every decision, ask me in the silence, Father, are you in this? When my spirit grants a deep peace, not the false peace of ease, but the peace that stands firm through testing, then step forward with courage. Also, do not be afraid when doors close in front of you. Not every closure is a punishment, and not every hindrance means you have taken the wrong path. Sometimes I close a door to keep you from what you do not yet have the vision to recognize. Sometimes I bring a plan to a halt because I am shifting you to a higher direction. Sometimes I take from your hands what you are clinging to, not to make you poor, but so your hands are empty enough to receive what I am about to give. I am the one who opens and no one can shut, and shuts and no one can open. So, do not wrestle with the door I have locked in love. Trust that my providence sees the end right from the beginning, while your eyes have only just seen a small stretch of the road. I want you to remember Isaac in the year of famine. According to natural reasoning, that was not the time to sow. The ground was dry, the circumstances unfavorable, the future obscure, but Isaac stayed where I instructed, and he sowed in that very year. The word records that he reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. Afterward, his water wells were disputed. Some were seized by others, and places that seemed to be sources of life turned into places of conflict. But Isaac did not stop in bitterness. He kept digging, kept walking, until he reached Rehoboth, the place where he declared that I had made room for him. You see, there are seasons when I not only teach you to sow in the midst of famine, but I also teach you to walk away from unworthy conflicts, to arrive at the spacious place I have prepared. Therefore, my child, sow faithfully even in unfavorable seasons. If you sow a prayer, you are paving the way for heavenly intervention. If you sow forgiveness, you are breaking the chains of bitterness within your own heart. If you sow loving kindness, you are lighting a fire in a cold world. If you sow faithfulness in the small things, you are preparing for great doors to open at the appointed time. My word reminds you, let us not become weary in doing good. For at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. The harvest does not always come immediately after the sowing, but not a single seed planted in faith is ever forgotten by me. I am also accelerating the work in ready hearts. What once took years to understand, I can now teach you in a short season, because you have experienced enough brokenness to know how to listen, have walked through enough solitude to know how to discern, have endured enough refining to no longer be easily swayed by praise. But my acceleration is not the hastiness of mankind. I do not skip stages just to make you stand out early. I accelerate maturity by deepening your surrender. If you feel you are being kept hidden, do not rush to sorrow. Many precious instruments must be forged in the fire before they are placed into the master's hands. Many who are sent out into the light were trained for a long time in places where no one was watching. So, keep your heart pure, your eyes bright, your ears sensitive to my voice. Do not step through a door just because it is attractive, nor weep before a closed door if I am the one who shut it. Live higher than the average standard through daily obedience, through unpretentious mercy, through integrity in places where others compromise, through faith that still sows when the ground is not yet green. The harvest is coming, but that harvest needs those who have been prepared in the secret place. And when I bring you out at the appointed time, you will not come out in arrogance, but in maturity, not to prove yourself, but to serve, not to be acclaimed, but to become a sign that I am still working powerfully in those who allow me to purify. Teach and send them out.